My name is Laurel. I'm a Canadian woman in my mid-50s, and I'm just starting a new life in rural France. We made a fun discovery when we moved here that we overlooked when we were shopping, and it's this wonderful hidden gem buried deep in the woods here. So it's this ancient stone bread oven that's actually really common in this part of Brittany. You see them a lot on farms and attached to the old longères. This one is a little ways from our house, so that's why we didn't notice it when we were shopping. So it was a neat treasure to find when we arrived. We call it Hagrid's Hut. My project over the next few days is to cut back all the greenery because I've seen other places around the area and it doesn't take long for nature to just eat it all up and it disappears. Our neighbors is just a mound of ivy and dirt and you can't even see that there was once an oven. And I'd really like to protect this and preserve it because it's so beautiful and so unique to the area. It's something I've never seen before, certainly not something you'd ever see in Canada. And who knows, maybe someday I'll want to make some bread. The bread oven stands about 2 meters high. You can see the old iron door on the ground in front of it. And then when you come around the side, you can see that it's really, really overgrown. And that's what I really want to tackle. And here's the door where inside you would light a fire and bake your bread. All right, now the ivy. I actually find getting rid of ivy quite satisfying and soothing. And once you get to know me, you'll know that I really have it in for ivy because it so quickly takes over everything. Ooh, got some rotten wood here. It will just bury this place so quick. And then it becomes a super highway for rats, great place for wasps to build nests. And this beautiful piece of history will be gone. Honestly, it's pretty creepy stuff. I've definitely read more than one fantasy novel, and the ivy is the villain. It creeps up in your dreams. You try to get out. It chokes you, takes you to another world. Nothing good comes of ivy. It's nature's graffiti. Oh, big one. Good. Oof. Whew, well, that was a decent day's work. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I've gotten everything, well, mostly everything off of the front here, and I've cleared a ton, so it's going to be way easier to get back here, to keep going, and probably to maintain it, so hopefully it won't get this crazy again. So in French, this is a four à pain, which literally means oven of bread. This one would not be as old as our house because our house is about 300 years old, and bread ovens didn't really come into being in France until after the Revolution, so in the late 1700s. Before that, it was actually illegal to have a bread oven because everyone was required to get their bread through the wealthy landowner. After the Revolution was when they really rose in popularity, and there were a couple kinds. They were either communal or private. The private ones would be attached to a structure, a house. And since this one is not, I would say it was probably more communal, although not for a big community because it's not a very big oven. We have a lot of outbuildings on our property, and I think a lot of them were probably cottages back in the day. And so this was probably a shared oven for a group of people that were clustered in this area. Oh, it's never ending. Oh, there's something back here. I feel like it's a portal to another world. Something metal. Oh, it is a scythe. So yeah, found me a scythe, not sure which. I guess you need to cut your bread, and you had to do something before Wonder Bread and sliced bread. So I'm not sure how this will come in handy, but it's kind of cool to find a thing. And this is Wilson. He was living a hard knocks life on the rough streets of Brittany before he came to live with us, and he's settled remarkably well into more of an upper management role. I've made a lot of good progress this morning. Got a lot of the ivy off of this face of the bread oven and cleared a lot from the ground as well. And haven't seen any snakes, so that's always a win in my book. I've found a couple dead trees that I'm going to see if I can coax the husband into coming out and taking down with the chainsaw. I'm not usually the kind of woman that needs to call the husband to come in and do the hard stuff. Mostly I do it myself, but I have what I think is a very healthy fear of chainsaws. There was one post-apocalyptic novel I read, I think it was called Into the Woods, Into the Forest, something like that. And a family was in the woods, riding out the apocalypse, doing just fine, homesteading. And then one day, Dad had an accident with the chainsaw, slashed his femoral artery, bled out right there by the tree. And then from then on, it was all downhill for that family. The roof caved in, bad people came and attacked the homestead, and everyone was dead at the end. So no chainsaws for me. I guess that means it sounds like I'm sending Eve to his potential death, but he'll be fine. It's just now occurring to me that I do base a lot of my life choices on wisdom gleaned from post-apocalyptic, dystopian, and fantasy novels. But in my defense, I haven't been eaten by a zombie yet. Okay, that's bag number 6, and 6 is all I can fit into the back of my car to get it off to the déchetterie. So I think this is a good place to stop. It's getting warm out, and I'm ready to take a break, head inside, and maybe find a task that has a bit more of a finite end and doesn't involve ivy. So we had a ton of plums this year, and basically anytime that I'm not weed whacking or cursing the ivy, I'm in the mini plum orchard trying to get what I can off the ground, off the trees, before these crafty neighborhood weasels get to them. Today I'm going to dehydrate a bunch of them. I like it because it's fairly easy prep. There's no ingredients to add, no fuss, no muss, no big mess, and they're also so easy to store when you're done. So prepping your plums to dehydrate is basically just a matter of washing them and cutting them open and depitting them. There's nothing else to do. I don't soak them. I don't sweeten them. I plan on about 10, maybe 15 plums to a tray, depends on how big they are. And I like to lay them so there's a lot of room for the air to circulate amongst them. Some recipes say you can go ahead and crowd them. For me, it didn't work as well, so I like a bit of space for them. Putting them on the trays, you simply lay them on there. Some recipes say skin side up, some say skin side down. I haven't found either makes a difference. So I do skin side up just because it feels easier, and that way I don't have to touch as much of the wet, juicy, sticky fruit, although I'm pretty sticky now anyways. I set the machine to 65 degrees, which is about 150 Fahrenheit. And although it says 9 hours there, I did it for about 14. Good morning. Well, I've let the plums dry for about 14 hours. That's a little longer than a lot of recipes suggest, but the reasoning is, well, the reasoning is it works for me. Brittany is kind of humid compared to a lot of areas of the country. And I've found that the usual 9 to 12 hours that's recommended in a lot of recipes just don't work here. And so here we go. They're fairly decent. I mean, okay, they're prunes, but if there were a zombie apocalypse or if I have to go into space, I've got something to take, and it's really not half bad. All right, so this batch is all finished and ready to package. I like to use vacuum seal packaging for mine. It preserves dried fruits really nicely. They're good for probably 6 months to a year if you put them in a cool, dark cupboard. In France, it's storage, food storage is a thing. It's a real problem here. Kitchens don't have a lot of cupboard space. Freezers are itty bitty bitty, so much smaller than Canada. I mean, Canada, basically the whole country is a freezer. But in France, you do have to be creative about where you're storing food. And so that's why I love the vacuum seal packaging, because you can stash it anywhere and your fruits will stay fresh for several months. And winter is coming, and we all know that there's always a great prune famine during the winter. So I am ready for it. Now all that's left is to vacuum seal them, and this machine isn't the greatest quality. I kind of have to wrench on it to get it to cooperate, but it gets the job done, so fair enough. Interesting story about my vacuum seal machine. This is actually the second one I've received for Christmas from my husband. Got one for Christmas from him back in Canada and with Canadian wiring, so we didn't bring it with us. And a couple of years later here in France, bought me another one for Christmas. Neither of them I actually asked for, but maybe some women you just look at and you think vacuum seal packaging. And for now, I'll just keep them in our medieval kitchen cabinet, stashed safely away next to the plum jam and beside our emergency bottle of champagne, because we are in France after all. I'm just going to use the manual clippers today. It's pretty early in the morning, and although we don't have anyone super close to us, noise carries, and it's kind of nice to hear the chirping of the birds anyways. I've made it clear about my hate on for ivy, but I think I hate brambles and blackberry bushes even worse. At least ivy comes down without a fight and isn't trying to take your eye out. This stuff is going to kill me. Yep, first full episode and down I go. Ooh, and here's another treasure. I'm going to hazard that this one's also post-French Revolution. And off I go to the Dehydrating, which is the French word for dump. And I like saying it because it sounds a lot better than dump. It sounds like I'm going somewhere fancy. Dehydrating. Although it looks like we live in the middle of nowhere, we kind of do. In France and probably in a lot of Europe, you're never really more than, say, 5, maybe 10 minutes from the next village or town. We're about 10 minutes away from the town where I go to the Dehydrating to drop off my clippings. And it's also the same town where I go for groceries, to the boulangerie, that's the bakery. It's the closest, biggest town to us, and it's only 10 minutes away. And when we were in Canada, we had to drive a lot longer than that just to get to the grocery store. So although it feels very rural and remote and looks it, things are actually very close and convenient. Something you get used to very quickly in Brittany is the fate of getting stuck behind a slow-moving tractor. They only go at about 30 kilometers an hour, and there's no way to get around them, so you just have to hunker down and wait. But there's nothing like the feeling of seeing them turn off and being able to carry on your way. At the Dehydrating, dropping one of the many, many bags of the many trips that I'm going to have to do. Well, I'm ready to declare Operation Bread Oven Four Capin complete. Finished. Really happy with how it turned out. was able to move a lot of the ivy and the brush and even the dirt obscuring it. And now we have a really pretty piece that I can see even when I drive in and drive up to the house, I can spot it. So that's super fun. It felt like it went on for days and days and days. It was pretty exhausting for this old body, but I found some fun stuff. I found a scythe. I found a blueberry bush I didn't know about. Found a lot of blackberry bushes that I'm less excited about because I've got to deal with. Had a very unfortunate encounter with stinging nettle. But overall, it was a good project, and it's a good project to be finished with. Probably like a lot of you, I start things with fairly finite plans and it's fairly contained idea, but it grows and grows and grows. And that's what happened here. We have an adjoining meadow. And so I got sidetracked in there a bit and was cutting that down and getting rid of grass there and bushes. But now we've got a nice open space that's much more usable. I'm hoping now that we've got it kind of under control, that it's just going to be more of a maintenance thing as opposed to this big multi-day battle in the future. And just some weeding and trimming every year, and hopefully that's it. And it's easy now, right? Right? It's going to be easy now. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.